Thank you, Katya. Matthew tasked the whole Bronsman family, all the distinguished guests and the organizers. I think it's really mission impossible to start summing up the long and intensive life Edgar had with all the different areas of interest. Were I here in my capacity as the Knesset speaker, I would have to generalize and address all the issues and all the activities that Edgar had. And I won't do that, because I'm here as Yuli Adelstein. And I'll take you back to 1987. Katya just made one mistake. I was still in prison in 85. I was released in 87. March 1987, I was in Siberia, and I heard that story about 1,000 times from my wife. She could probably tell it better, but she's unable to, so I'll have to tell it in her name. There were 3 prisons of Zion left at that time in the former Soviet Union. Edgar arrived with the group of people, both from his business and the World Jewish Congress. He had a broken leg after some ski accident or something. So my wife was very impressed that he was accompanied by a couple of doctors, but he still came. And except for selling Seagram or buying something from the Russians, he obviously spoke to them about the Jews and the prisoners of Zion. And the Russians, I guess, even those days knew how to put a show. They staged it well. Bronsman and his entourage were meeting with the families of the prisoners of Zion and the long-time refuseniks in an apartment in Moscow. And as my wife always said, that they felt something was, like there was something in the air. So at some stage the phone rang at the apartment, and the hostess answered the phone, and she came back to the room where everyone's sitting, pretty surprised. And she said they just released Yosef Berenstein, who was a prisoner of Zion, one of the 3. They just released Yosef Berenstein from the camp. One of the people accompanying Edgar, that was the part of the story my wife liked less, turned to her and said, "Oh, damn it, we were sure it would be your husband." Did we say already, Kol hamatzil nefesh echad miYisrael? He saved many more lives than just one life, and I'm pretty sure that part of all these efforts, his and the efforts of the others, was one of the reasons of my release a couple of months later, and probably even, I would dare say, the fact that Iron Curtain fell down at some stage was no accident either. But that's not enough, because I think if we are talking about someone who really cares about something, he did continue. The easiest way out would be to celebrate the victory, and the victory was great. I guess Edgar celebrated the victory, but he continued. And February 89, I was invited by the World Jewish Congress to accompany them to the then Soviet Union, just a year and a half after my release, to Moscow for the opening of the first Jewish Cultural Center. It was still the Soviet Union, it was still Moscow. The government even didn't want to send an official representative to that strange event, opening of the Jewish Center. Edgar was already there with the vision of the continuation, with the Jewish education. And it went on and on. And one thing I can say with these things that Matthew and Chaim are doing today in the FSU, and Katya, whom I see for the first time, but many, many others, thousands wouldn't be standing here, definitely not in Israel, not in Jerusalem, if it were not for these efforts. I think for me it shows that it was not just because it was some kind of political activity, just because it was popular those days, just because, it brought you probably some headlines. It was a deep lifelong commitment. So I apologize for not talking about Edgar as a successful businessman. Some other people would do that. I apologize, James, that I can't, definitely not better than you, describe his involvement and his family involvement with this museum. There are many others who could talk about different other aspects. For me, it's Edgar Bronfman. And I guess I have to say, for me, it's Edgar Bronfman and the Soviet Jewry and the Russian Jewry. That's wrong. For me, it's Edgar Bronfman and many, many, many thousands and dozens of thousands of Yuli Edelsteins who are Jewish today because his life was really a life of achievement. Thank you.